OnlyFans creators have trouble dating and holding down relationships, according to a report. OnlyFans creators say they struggle to maintain relationships as it turns out having a sleazy side job, this is a biased article, in the name of female empowerment can have a negative impact on the quality of life. According to a survey conducted by FX Hub, among the 500 adult content creators that participated, 47% found dating to be challenging, while 42% said their relationships ended after they had disclosed their jobs to their partners. 46% reported that being an OnlyFans creator prevented them from maintaining healthy relationships, and 31% said the financial earnings they made resulted in jealousy from their partners. I fully believe this. This is the side of it. I think that the lack of nuance that a lot of people on the left have about doing sex work, about doing OnlyFans, and how, it's just a net positive and it's super empowering and that's the end all be all. The same way they say trans women or women, that's the end all be all. Okay, well, as with everything else that leftists preach, there is some truth underneath the surface that if you care to scratch it, you can maybe see some downsides. And this is one of them. It's like, this is the case with, I can speak to, trans women for sure. It's like trans women, a lot of them do sex work. This is the majority of trans women I've ever known. Most trans women I have known in my life have done some form of sex work, and now it includes OnlyFans, which is better than escorting and prostitution. I have to admit, it's a lot safer to just do that from the privacy of your own home and film it. But they have a lot of struggles finding relationships because of that. Even men who are attracted to trans women don't want that. And that's the same with women as well. And I just think it's important to talk about that. Another thing people don't talk about is that a lot of these OnlyFans girls are way broker than they lead on. I feel like every OnlyFans person I hear talk about their earnings, I'm like, oh, so all of you guys are making $100,000 a month? How's that a thing? All of y'all cannot be making $100,000 a month. Like, that's just not, and I'm looking at you and you're wearing Forever 21. You're not making $100,000 a month. And it turns out this is the case because according to a new study, this article says, no, you won't get rich quick on OnlyFans. The math behind the fool's gold rush. So it says making about $2,500 a month on OnlyFans puts you in the top 1%, which is kind of shocking because I would say making $2,500 a month on YouTube probably puts you in like the top for creators. I'm not talking about everyone who just has a YouTube account. People who make it their like whole job. I would say maybe earning $2,500 a month on YouTube puts you in the top like 40% of people who do it full time. Not everyone with an account, but people who do that for their living. So to be in the top 1% and only making $2,500 a month is crazy. You see these OnlyFans creators and like in people's Instagram bios, they'll be advertising, I'm in the top 1%. And I'm like, so you're sucking and fucking for $3,000? Not necessarily the glamorous life I would want, right? Like, I don't judge it, first of all. I'm not anti people who do OnlyFans. I'm just pro reality. And I feel like these things should be talked about because people talk about it like it's something different. So it says making about $2,500 a month on OnlyFans puts you in the top 1% of creators. That might sound like a lot. It really doesn't. But it adds up to about $15 an hour. And that's all pre-tax. Yeah, $2,500 a month is not a lot. That's McDonald's. That's working at Starbucks, right? Maybe working like full time at Starbucks. Picking up an extra shift or two, you get 25. Like what? In other words, you can make the same amount working at Chipotle. And OnlyFans doesn't even have guacamole, right? And again, this is the top 1%. It's more likely that a college football player makes it to the NFL than it is for an OnlyFans worker to make as much as a Chipotle worker. That's crazy. That's nuts. OnlyFans as a platform has more than 1 million registered content creators. So what do most of them earn? On average, only $180 a month. Now, you have to understand, I don't look down on people who do OnlyFans. I know people who do it. There are people that I love that do it. And so I'm not coming to the table looking at you with some stigma like, oh my God, you're on OnlyFans. But a lot of people do. A lot of future employers do. So if you're taking on that full stigma of like doing porn, because that's really what the stigma is. When someone says they do OnlyFans, you assume they are doing porn on there, right? Because that's what it's for the most part. So you're taking on that whole stigma. You are limiting your ability to date healthily to have a relationship with someone who loves you, you're ruining your future prospects of having a job for less than working at Chipotle. And this is just a reality people need to know. I mean, people ask me all the time, Blaire, why don't you do OnlyFans? First of all, can there be one trans person that exists that doesn't do OnlyFans? Do we all have to have an OnlyFans? Even Nikita has a goddamn OnlyFans now. It's like, do every single one of us have to be getting naked for money? I'm just not doing it. Sorry. I would actually rather work at Chipotle. That's not true. If it ever comes down to me or Chipotle, I probably will do OnlyFans because I probably would kill it. But that's the point. That's the other thing the study factors in, is that the people who are making the money on OnlyFans are people that are already famous or already have a built-in audience. So you guys are probably right when you tell me I would kill it on OnlyFans. I believe that I would. I'm a super niche. I'm trans. Like, I know that I look good as a trans woman and I have a huge audience. So I would kill it. But if you're just coming into that without an audience, you're severely handicapped on your ability to make money. So I'm not saying it can't work out. I'm just saying more girls need to know the reality of it, which is that it's not always this like, now I'm making $100,000 a month. It's like, you may be making less than Chipotle. In fact, that's the statistical likelihood. So just be real about it. You know what I mean? It's like, just be real. Because a lot of y'all are fake. You sit here talk about you're making 6 figures a month on OnlyFans and you're wearing Charlotte Russe shoes. It's just not, it's not adding up. It's not working. Texas House passes law banning child sex change. One Democrat breaks ranks to vote with the GOP. That's awesome. It's really impressive. Let me read a little bit of this. Texas moved one step closer to banning puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and sex change surgeries in minors on Friday when the Texas House of Representatives voted 91-49 to advance SB 14, with Sean Theory being the lone Democrat to break ranks and vote in favor of the bill. It now heads back to the Senate for a final vote after a minor amendment was added to the House. The bill is expected to pass the Senate and advance forward to Governor Greg Abbott's desk. And I would assume Greg Abbott would make the logical decision of allowing that to go through. It's very impressive, you know, the way that I've seen the right really mobilize on this issue. As much as I sometimes am like, man, the obsession that some people on the right have with trans shit is just so crazy. Like, do I have to see Dylan Mulvaney every time I open my phone? But at the same time, this is really the only thing in modern times of, you know, or the length of me paying attention to politics, which has now been about like probably a decade or so, that I've seen them mobilize in this way and get this much done, because they don't get shit done. Republicans are largely useless. So seeing them actually put their mind to legislation, put it through, make shit happen, and it's now banned in several states is a good thing. And it's so crazy how every time one of these things goes through, I'll get DMs from people in the community and be like, are you regretting being a Republican yet? Look what they're doing. They're passing anti-trans bills in your state, in this state, in that state. And I'm like, all right, let me Google it. Every time they're banning it for minors. Or in the case recently, someone came at me and was like, you know, Blaire, I used to support you, but you've been really pushing for, you know, against the trans stuff. And now look what's happening in Missouri. They passed a bill limiting trans adults. So I go and look and I'm like, I'm not for that if that's the case, but let me go look what happened. And it's a limitation that you have to go to therapy for a year to get hormones and surgery. And I don't even think it's necessarily in every case. I've been saying that kind of stuff my whole career, that you should go to therapy first. And a year sounds about right to me. That doesn't sound crazy to me. Go to therapy for a year before being approved to change your body forever. Yeah. I think we'd have a lot less people realizing they made a mistake if they had a year of therapy under their belts, right? It's like, so people want me to like be like deeply offended by like common sense legislation. And it's like, the things I've been fighting for my whole career are finally happening and y'all want me to be upset about that. That doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? It's like if I was advocating for like, I don't know, if I was up here for 7-8 years on YouTube talking about fur is wrong, wearing fur is wrong, the fur industry is wrong, and then you see legislation finally being passed banning fur, I'm supposed to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I pushed for that. That's what I've been fighting for transition to be taken more seriously, for doctors to not rush people through, which is what they do. I didn't go to therapy before transitioning. I was rushed through the system. Let's just be honest about that. I walked into a doctor's office and 20 minutes later walked out with an estrogen prescription, which I have been on ever since. This was 8-9 years ago. So the fact that every person just like, it's up to the luck of the draw if it's the right thing for them, because there's almost no screening done anymore, is pretty nuts. Right? It's like, so I lucked out. It was the right decision for me because I've always been the kind of person that, and the thing about trans people and people who think that they're trans is they always kind of say this, but it really is the case for me. It's like, I've always just known what was right for me. Like once I figured it out, I was like, yeah, this is what's right for me. And so I had the wherewithal to know what I was doing, but a lot of people do not. And those people don't deserve to be put through malpractice because they are indecisive or they don't have the full information, right? So in all seriousness, I should have gone to therapy. Maybe not me specifically, but in general, people who are seeking to change their bodies forever should probably go to therapy first, dude. Like, I even think like it shouldn't be mandated necessarily by the government, this one, but I think it's a good idea if you're a woman thinking of getting a boob job to have a therapy appointment or two first. See if you're doing it for the right reasons. Are you doing it because you want your husband to show you affection for the first time in 10 years? And you guys don't, you know what I mean? It's like, that's probably not the best reason because he should love you regardless. Are you doing it because you're insecure that everyone else in your family looks a certain way and you don't? That's probably a reason not to do it, right? So it's just like, I don't know. Shout out to Texas. You know, a lot of people didn't believe me when, you know, I got my surgeries done in Texas years ago. And I recently took my friend back to Texas, back to my same surgeon to get her boob job. She's trans as well. She's an adult. And the receptionist was talking about how they were worried about, you know, the government of Texas making it harder or banning minors from doing it. And they've had them having to call 14-year-olds to cancel their appointments for their double mastectomies. And I'm like, so y'all do double mastectomies on 14-year-olds? And you're telling me that you're upset that you have to cancel on them because the government's making it harder to do that? And you want me to agree with that because I'm trans? Demented. So it's been happening, even in Texas. And I'm glad that my state is taking a stand. I'm proud to live here with this kind of legislation going through because it's common sense. It's in favor of children's rights. It's in favor of protecting children. And for you to want me to be mad about it, stick something somewhere, baby girl, baby boy, baby they, because I'm not upset about it. I'm happy about it. If you guys enjoyed that short clip from the podcast, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well as my main channel and watch the full episode, which will be somewhere on the screen.